The Chicago Bears have officially released two players today. Gerald Everett and DeMarcus Walker are both being cut, and this is going to save the Bears cap space immediately. I actually talked about both of these guys in my cap space breakdown just 2 days ago when I listed potential cut candidates for the Bears. Gerald Everett and DeMarcus Walker were at the very top of my list. Both of these guys are now officially being released, reported first on Twitter by Brad Biggs and other people as well. This one is official, guys. Gerald Everett and DeMarcus Walker are being released. It is going to free up another $10.7 million in cap space for the Bears. We already had roughly, this will put us roughly at $79.75 million in cap space right now. I already see someone in the chat saying they don't agree with Walker being cut. This one was tough for me. I think Walker's contract was structured where he was just going to make probably a little bit too much this year, and having an extra $5 million in free agency could go a long way. But here it is, guys. Basically, DeMarcus Walker and Gerald Everett are cut. This is going to put our cap space up to $79.75 million. But as we already know, if you guys missed it yesterday, I already talked about it. The NFL is increasing the salary cap by 2.5 to $4.5 million. So every team is going to get an extra 2.5 to 5 million. But the new cap number right now for the Chicago Bears is 83.25 million, with the chance to go up to about 85.5 million. But right now, the Bears do have $83.25 million in cap space. This already includes the rookie salary cap, so it's already taken out the money for the rookie picks. I can quickly go over those numbers. Let me see if I have them. Don't have them right off the top of my head, but I can get them in just a second. I have them somewhere. But it already has all of our dead cap hits, all of our rookie salary cap projections, and everything else that goes into the Bears salary cap. Two veterans long gone. I think personally, yes, DeMarcus Walker and so let me get back to the news here. DeMarcus Walker and Gerald Everett are both being released. The Bears have released two players today, our veteran tight end and a veteran defensive end. I think DeMarcus Walker, out of the two, clearly the better player and the one who who provides more depth for the Bears on that defensive line. He could play edge and he can rotate inside the tackle at times. But this is good. I think this means we're going to spend big in free agency, going after at least one or two big targets. But on top of that, both of these positions, especially defensive end, it's really deep in the draft. So I think we're going to bring in at least two defensive ends. We're probably going to sign one, and we're probably also going to draft one to develop behind him. As far as Gerald Everett goes, $5.5 million for a backup tight end. We could probably get a backup tight end in round 5 this year in the draft. So not too worried about this. Puts the Bears over $80 million in cap space right now, which would mean, if you think about it like this, guys, we could still sign a guy like Trey Smith for $20 million a season, right? You could sign a guy like Trey Smith and still have $65 million in cap space. So the Bears are in a premium position here to not only make this team better, but they're in a position right now to really attack free agency. The two guys are cut. I keep having new people join the chat, so I want to keep this up here, guys. The Bears have released two players officially: defensive end DeMarcus Walker and tight end Gerald Everett. Breaking news here, guys. Two Bears no longer on the roster. Quentin James actually said it in chat. I think this is a good comment here. DeMarcus, he isn't a difference maker. I really had high hopes for this guy. He works really hard in the offseason. He's a leader. He's vocal. He was a nice presence in the locker room. I like DeMarcus Walker, but we're going with a new defensive scheme here. there's a good chance Dennis Allen is going to want to bring in one of his guys for defensive end or someone that fits what he's looking for. This gives us the cap space to bring in the guys that Ben Johnson and Dennis Allen are looking for and help turn this team into a winning franchise as early as 2025. We have the cap space, we have the draft picks. I definitely like DeMarcus Walker. Yeah. I was a fan of DeMarcus. I think if you ever watch, if you ever follow him on Twitter, he's a guy who in the off season, he is working hard. He's also very vocal. I think he's a good player, but I also think in the NFL, he wasn't a difference maker. He's a guy who hustles, he had a high motor, but when it comes to production and sacks, he just wasn't getting it. And on top of that, this year's defensive end class is just absolutely loaded, especially in the draft, but also free agency as well. Hey, Jack, welcome to the chat, my man. Appreciate you. I also think Dominique Robinson might get cut as well. The Jags haven't hired a GM yet, buddy. Unless they hired someone in the last 2 minutes, they didn't hire anyone. But Ian Cunningham had his official interview yesterday. My point on that was we still, if you guys missed that, I talked about it yesterday. Ian Cunningham was actually in Jacksonville yesterday, completed his in-person interview. They have 4 more interviews to go, but they should be naming their GM within the next week. They actually have to. They just did. Did they hire a GM? No. Did I miss it? Let me see. Jaguars GM job. Am I being trolled by the chat? I don't see it. I think you guys are trolling. All right. Yeah. Ian did his interview. Ian did his in-person interview yesterday, and they have about 4 more people that they were scheduled to interview. And right now, I have to believe that Ian Cunningham is a favorite. But back to the breaking news, guys. Chicago Bears have officially released DeMarcus Walker and Gerald Everett, opening up an extra nearly $11 million in cap space. Once the NFL officially sets the number, we are going to be right around $85 million. Currently, we're at least 83.25, and this is taking everything into account. This is taking all of our dead cap hit, and it's already taken our rookie projections. As long as we don't trade any of the draft picks and move picks, then this is our official cap number heading into the season. Adam Johns is saying, "Oh, Ian Cunningham is staying in Chicago." It looks like maybe there is. I just Googled it real quick. I did not see it. Kind of surprising to me that they've already went ahead and interviewed those 5 other guys. They said yesterday they were planning on interviewing another 5 guys. I would say Ryan Bates next up on the list. If you guys missed it yesterday, I was talking about the guys. My projected cuts are right here. The top 2 are already gone. I think Ryan Bates and Dominique Robinson both make a lot of sense as well. With Ryan Bates, it comes down to this. I think Ryan Bates has the potential to be a good player. And we also need depth on this offensive line. Bates is a guy who could play guard. He could also play center. The problem is we don't know what's going on with his shoulder. And there's actually reports that he might actually have to retire because his shoulder, he has an arthritic condition in his shoulder. So Ryan Bates is definitely on my list for guys that I think most likely will be cut. And then Dominique Robinson, look, we're only saving $1 million off of it, 1.1 million. But at this point, what is he really bringing to the team? We've had him. This is going on year 4 now. He hasn't done much for the organization, and to get an extra 1.1 million would be great. Larry Borum, the question about Larry Borum, no, Larry Borum is a pending free agent. Same with Tevin Jenkins. They were drafted in the same year. Both of those guys are off the books right now. Yeah, I do think DeMarcus Walker could have played 3 tech, but I'm gonna go with Dennis Allen's judgment over mine on that one. We also have Bill Johnson, the longtime defensive line coach. So, I mean, those guys are tons of experience coaching defense and defensive line in the NFL. So it looks like, according to chat, it is official. Gladstone is coming over from the Rams, James Gladstone. More breaking news here, guys. Ian Cunningham is going to stay in Chicago for one more year. No extra third-round pick this year, but we still have 3 picks in the top 50, 4 picks in the top 75. I think if we could somehow manage to trade down in the first round, that would be my biggest goal heading into this. Could they be making space for a trade or draft pick by cutting DeMarcus? I think this is just heading into free agency. Draft pick, no, nothing with a draft pick here. But as far as trade, I don't really see a trade on the horizon. Maybe something small. I don't see any big time trades coming up. What I see is a big time push in free agency. We're going to be pushing for players that fit what our new coaching staff is looking for. You got to remember, guys, we overturned the entire staff here, offense and defense. We're bringing in obviously, Ben Johnson's the head coach. Dennis Allen on defense. So Dennis Allen is going to want to locate his kind of guys for the defense. Ben Johnson's going to want to bring in some of his kind of guys to help build an offense here in Chicago and run something that can protect Caleb Williams and actually put points on the board. Hey, my man Jack with a super chat. By far the best Bears film coverage out there. Bear down, my man. Ken is actually predicting a trade. My man Ken, he's got inside information there. So if Ken says it, I definitely wouldn't rule it out. But anybody who's late, guys, this is the breaking news. It sounds like Ian Cunningham is staying in Chicago, and the Bears have released 2 veteran players, creating an extra $11 million roughly in cap space. DeMarcus Walker, the veteran DE who could also slide in and play some 3-tech. He is no longer going to be a Chicago Bear. And Gerald Everett, a guy who I actually had high hopes for last season. Everett had some good seasons with the Chargers, but he just was underutilized in our offense. And we can spend that $5.5 million in the trenches, whether it's on offensive line or defensive line. I think that's where a lot of this money is going to go. And I think that's a smart decision by the front office. Great mention here by Walt. I'll give you guys a preview because I actually had a video. I just finished my top 10 Chicago Bears free agent target video. Just finished that, and I was about to release it right before this news broke. So I pushed that back. That'll be out in 2 hours. But let me go ahead and give you guys a preview of the guy Walt was talking about. He is on my top 10 free agent list tonight. Not going to show you where I have him at on the list, but watch out for this guy. Another guy that I at least wanted to talk about here, Chase Young. Walt actually did a video on him on his channel, Into Huddle Chicago, CB Sickles over there. But this is Chase Young, guy. This is Chase Young. He worked with Dennis Allen last year with the Saints. He's a guy who, coming out of college, is probably one of the most freakishly athletic defensive ends I've ever seen. He hasn't lived up to the billing because of injuries, but he's projected currently to get a contract around $17.5 million per year. Sport Track says 4 years, $70 million, but you never really know with those. Sport Track is always just throwing out numbers, but it does give you an idea of a kind of player we could add. Also, Chase Young played with Montez Sweat his first few years in the NFL. Charles, I broke that down in my video yesterday and talked about it today. It is going up between 2.5 and 5 million. Wherever they're getting the 7 million from, they clearly can't do simple math. I don't know. But it's all available on Sport Track. I can actually, let me share my screen. Let me show you guys Sport Track real quick for one final. Let's break down this. This is the salary cap right now. Let me get rid of this. So this is the Bears salary cap right now. Can I make it bigger? Nope. Here it is. All right, this is the Bears salary cap. It's available on Sport Track. You can pull this up. I can make it a little bit bigger. But this is before the moves. But you guys are able, even as chat, you don't have to be special. You can go to Sport Track and do this. You scroll down and you can see DeMarcus Walker right here, right? And I can just cut DeMarcus Walker. And when I do that, it's going to automatically add the cap space up top for you. And see, you see the cap space went from 69 to 74. So now I go down and I cut Gerald Everett as well. You cut Gerald Everett, you scroll up. That's how you get the cap number here, right? And this already has all of the rookies, everything is already accounted in this. So you don't have to be a wizard with math. You don't have to do anything here. This is what the Bears cap space would be. And then how I got the number, how you get the other number is the NFL announced yesterday the official range for this year's salary cap, and it's going up between $2.5 and $5 million. So when you add 2.5 to 79.7, that's where you get the $82.5 million number I had, and that could go up another 2.5 million. So between 82.5 and 85 million, that is the Chicago Bears official cap number as we set here today. You can see there are a couple other guys who could be cut, but you can even look right on here, guys. Some of these guys, they don't really make sense. You look at Tremaine Edmonds. If you cut him, it only saves $4 million. You get $13 million in dead cap. We're not cutting Tremaine Edmonds. But some other guys here, Kevin Byard would save $7 million. I think Kevin Byard's a guy we keep around, though. Looking down here, Cairo Santos would save you 2, but you get 2.1 in dead cap. The guy, really the one to watch is right here, guys. The one more guy I'd say to watch is it's the Bear Review. That's the other channel. That's Walt's channel right there, the Bear Review. Sorry, guys. I'm just but right here, Ryan Bates, this is the guy to watch. He can create $4 million in dead cap, and he's guaranteed $0. So we can cut him and just get a free $4 million. We could also take him into training camp, see if he's healthy. If he is healthy, go ahead and keep him. Let him add some more depth on the O-line. But if there is something wrong with his shoulder, we're going to want to go ahead and clear an extra $4 million. But that's the news, guys. Chicago Bears have released, let me go ahead and drop it one more time before the end here. Chicago Bears have went ahead and released DeMarcus Walker and Gerald Everett. My big video is on the way tonight, guys. The Chicago Bears top 10 free agents. I have the video scheduled to come out in just 2 hours. Go ahead and check that one out, guys. Make sure to click the notifications on that one and hit the like button. I'll be back tonight. I appreciate everyone who comes by. DeMarcus Walker, good player. I actually wish him luck. And Gerald Everett, good luck as well. I appreciate everybody who watches. Chicago Bears cap space, $83.25 million. Going to finish up around $85 million. They are preparing to go into free agency and spend some big money. Get ready, guys. The NFL Combine is next week, and free agency is following that. Please hit that like button for me. Stay tuned. And until next time, bear down.